Hello, everyone. We'll be doing a very quick review of Chapter 7. I say quick because this is a lesson that is largely terminology oriented. So a quick little recording will serve you well. Let's go ahead and take a look at our PowerPoints. First of all, I'd like to remind you that management is the process of POIC, planning, organizing, influencing, and controlling in order to achieve our corporate goals in an effective and efficient manner. The O is exactly what Chapter 7 addresses. How do we organize a company? The first thing we want to talk about is when we have a BHAG, we break it down into all the tasks involved. That is called division of labor. We then take those tasks and group them into departments, and we call that departmentalization. In the process of doing that, we also assign authority and responsibilities, and we call that delegation. There are several ways to organize a company. One is by function. Functions includes things like legal, human resources, manufacturing, engineering, marketing, and finance. You can also organize a company by the product you're selling. In that case, you would have emergency treatment, pediatrics, cardiology, orthopedics, and gynecology. If you would like to organize your company by process, in the case of a furniture making company, the processes would include lumber cutting and treatment, furniture assembly, furniture finishing, and shipping. Those are the first three. Next, we could also organize by customer: railroad customers, aircraft customers, automotive customers, military customers. Someone like GE, a company like GE, has customers in the railroad industry, in the aircraft industry, and so on. So they would be a candidate for customer departmentalization. And then you can also organize by geography. You might have US and Canadian, European, and North American, for example. So those are the 5 basic ways of organizing. A line function refers to things such as sales and production. These are functions that are essential to making the product. And then there's a staff function, which is more supportive of those things. And that's human resources and accounting, for example. So remember the distinction between a line function and a staff function. There is an additional way of organizing, which is the only organization that has 2 bosses. In this case, you're organizing by function and the product. So, for example, scientist A has a boss of product manager A and vice president of research. A few more things that I'm looking to highlight in our PowerPoints. Of course, you will be reading all of them, as you will also accompany it with the book. But I am focusing on terminology for this effort. Disadvantages of the matrix structure is primarily confusion. Each team member has more than one boss, 2 to be precise, and that can at times be confusing because they might get conflicting directives. Accountability is an important word that we want to be sure. When we're organizing, we want to be sure that we know who is accountable for each task. We want to be sure, too, that we know who the decision maker is. We also have problem-solving teams, self-managed teams, and cross-functional teams. So sometimes, in addition to organizing the ways that we have mentioned, we also will break people into teams, and teams are typically project-oriented. Once the assignment is completed, the team breaks up. Important concept is narrow and wide spans of control. So if we take a look at the next PowerPoint, span of control refers to the number of employees someone is supervising. Narrow is when there are only two, as the PowerPoint shows. Wide, or at least wider, would be having 5 people to control. So span of control, again, refers to the number of people someone is in charge of. Centralization is the degree to which formal authority is concentrated in one level. The advantage here is that you can have tight control, you can reduce cost. The problem is that lower level personnel directly involved with the project does not have a say. Decentralization is when you do just that. You give the lower level people authority in order to make decisions. Now we have, referring again to span of control, if we have a wide span of control where a manager is in charge of many people, we call that a flat structure. If a manager is only in charge of a few people, then we call it tall. You could see on this picture, slide 18. Here we've got a sales manager with a wide control, and he's controlling 7 salespeople. In this case, we've got a regional manager and a local manager. So let's take the case of the regional manager. He's in charge of 2 other managers. Each of those is in charge of 2 other salespeople. So you see the span of control is narrower, but the structure gets taller as a result. There's also informal organization in companies, usually designed to improve rapport and allowing people to get to know each other, perhaps even before they work together. Usually makes teamwork a little more effective. One of the challenges in modern businesses is that many companies are going virtual. So we do have to think about how we're going to facilitate communication and organization when that is the case. Outsourcing is also a modern phenomenon where typically with outsourcing, you have a wider array of business functions. So you do have to consider that when you're outsourcing. And that was a very quick review of a terminology-based Chapter 7, How Do We Organize Companies? I hope the succinctness of this has helped you, and I hope you will be ready to ask questions when we meet again on Canvas. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.